So now you stop it forever. You never do that again. Don't do it. Don't do it. What are the hidden dangers of over-practicing scales? There are none. I'm sorry to be so direct about it. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why you cannot over-practice anything. It's a preposterous thought. Because what we really need is we need to become so good at scales that we don't think about scales anymore. But what we often think about when we think of over-practicing scales is this thing. And then we put on a jam track, or we play with the guys, or we're performing, and all we can really get out of our fingers is... All right? Because that's the pattern we have ingrained in our mind. And I used to do that. I used to practice 2-note per string pentatonics, 3-note per string blues scale, 3-note per string diatonics, major minor scales, over and over and over again. Like, right? Stuff like that. It just for hours and hours and hours. And I really expected to come out on the other side and just be able to, just fly across the fretboard. That was the recipe, right? But it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't. Because what you're really practicing is the opposite. You're practicing going down and up and down and up the scale. Listen up, and listen up very attentively. When you go up and down a scale, that's only for the first couple of seconds, first couple of minutes maximum. Because what you're going to teach the brain is just that, going up and down the scale. But what are you going to use the scale for? Right? You're not going to use the scale for playing it up and down, right? So going up and down, we know that from classical music as well, but that's actually not practicing scales as much as it is practicing your technique or practicing where the notes are on a piano, right? How does it feel? Because the C major scale feels radically different from playing the D major scale or the D flat major scale, because you have to reach for the black keys and you have to be very fast. On a guitar, it's a disaster, right? And you need the scale to improvise with, right? We're practicing the scale not to play predefined composed pieces like in classical music. We want it so we can have fun with it and we can be creative with it. So this up and down or up and down like that is a disaster. So instead, follow this very simple recipe and do it for the rest of your life. And I mean that. It's a disaster to go up and down. You do it first. Let's just take the first position, minor pentatonic, right? You go up and down. Instead of going up and down, you simply just, chart it out if it's the first time you see it. You go a little bit up and down, but instead of going up and down the scale from the top to the bottom, you kind of go a little bit up and down here, right? And then when that is boring, you go on. Then you go back to the first again. You go a little bit up and down, then back to the middle. And when the middle and the top is boring, you go on to the bottom. And now you oscillate between the middle and the bottom, right? Once that is boring, you got it, right? And that takes minutes, right? So now you stop it forever. You never do that again. Don't do it. Don't do it, right? Instead, you start improvising with it. I can't do that, Claus. Yes, improvising is just playing random stuff. Play random notes. And you start seeing the shape as one shape on the fretboard. You look down and you can see it. Bam, 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 right? It's a visual thing now that you can jump around in. So I can... Right? That's the right way. You want that 3D universe so you can improvise and you can pick different notes around the scales here, right? And just remember this little technique of staying in one place that you can remember very rapidly, then moving to another, then going back, then moving to another, staying in the other, then going back and forth until it's boring, picking a new link in the chain, which is now the bottom. Now you continue like that, but you continue in this direction. So you see the top 3 strings or the top 2. How does it look over here? Then you go back between the old and the new. And then you move on to the middle and the top, middle, top, back and forth, middle, top, middle, top. Don't learn a new thing without going back to the old. So you chain things together like that all the time. Works amazingly. But never, ever start playing them up and down, because you're actually practicing something that you do not want to learn. you are building in a repetitive pattern in your brain that's going to hurt you when you try to solo. Instead, and this is the final cut, right? You start improvising. So you play, I play random stuff and try to land on the cool notes that sound really good with the jam track in the background. Then the next thing you do to be able to move your fingers in a variety of ways and relatively fast is that you learn sequences. And you can do that throughout the scale. You can go, well, let me see, you can play 5 notes down, for instance. Right? That's a sequence. You do the same thing from each step in the scale all the way down. Now that's also playing sequentially up and down chords, yes, but now you're building an actual playing tool in your hand. So now you can suddenly, with that, you can go. So what am I going? Right? Or I can play. Right? I'm going to show you these in the end, so you get them down on tabs, right? But now you have something. Now you have what we build licks from. And if you got some phrasing techniques, some sliding, bending, vibrato, and some right hand techniques, then now you're actually building soloing skills. Never go up and down a scale, but use sequences instead. To learn the scale shape, you improvise. Right? To learn where the dots on the fretboard are, you improvise, you keep it 3D, right? Or surface instead of sequentially going back and forth like that. So let me just show you, if you're relatively new to this, let me just show you these 2 sequences, and then you can get started as well. So let's go close up now, and I'm just going to play the 2 sequences slow first, and then just talk a little bit about how I play them. So it sounds like this. And I can play them in the opposite direction as well. And I'm just repeating the same thing all the time. So check out the tabs. But the first thing, I hit the 5th fret with an upstroke and a hammer on to the 8th fret. That's the first thing. Then I'm basically going right from this place in the scale. Then I go to the lower note, which is the next lower note, is that one. But then I go up from this and back again. Right? And then I go to the next step in the scale and go, right? And then the next step in the scale and go up to the higher and down again. So it's like, right? So super simple. And then I can use hammer-ons and pull-offs since I have 2 notes per string and only pick the notes when I'm going from string to string. So I go, and then downstroke, and upstroke, and downstroke again, and then pull off, right? Hammer on to the 8th, pull off again, pull off, and then downstroke, upstroke, and downstroke, and then downstroke, upstroke, and then downstroke, upstroke, right? And I can do the same thing from the bottom, just going in the opposite direction, where I play the same little thing. That's what I played before as well. But now it goes to this note and play the same thing, right? And then to the 3rd note in the scale and play the same thing, right? The 4th note in the scale and play the same thing, right? Every time it's from string to string, I use down, up, outside string shifting. Every time it's on the same string, I just hammer on and pull off. So, and then down, up, hammer on, pull off, down, up, hammer on and pull off. And then you continue like that. You can also use hybrid picking over here, so you can use your middle finger instead of having an upstroke. You basically use your pick for the downstrokes, and then you use your middle finger for the upstroke. Right? The other one is super simple. You take your scale and then you go 5 notes down. Right? So you pick the first note, pull off to the next, pick the third note, pull off to the next, and then that with a downstroke, right? So that's the one kind of type of thing I do, where I have 2, 2, 1. Then the next thing, I hit the next note in the scale. I started on this, then I go to that and play 5 notes down. Upstroke, downstroke, pull off, downstroke, pull off. Now I have the single note on the top string instead of the bottom string. Those are the 2 I then take all the way down following the scale shape. So downstroke and then upstroke, so you have an outside string shift right there. Skip the string. Right, then you do the same thing, but now from the 8th fret, B string. Then B string 5th fret. Right. Do the same thing in the other direction. Right? Let me just play the ascending part or descending part. There is no over-practicing sequences, and there is no over-practicing improvising with the scales you learn. But you might, stay away from playing scales up and down incessantly because it doesn't benefit you in any productive way. Don't forget to subscribe, go download the free course, hit the like button, and leave a comment. Let me hear your own experiences with playing scales up and down. It could be funny. And then I hope to see you in one of the videos that's popping up here, or in the next one here on YouTube.